Hi, everyone. This is Rohit from Lifestyle Mastery, and today I'm excited to have Juan Juan, who has 20 years of experience as a product designer and also worked in two natural language startups in Fortune 500 companies, Apple and Charles Schwab. Juan is the CEO of Fanalyze, which is a fantasy sports company that provides a solution where fantasy players can save time by consolidating all the fantasy teams in one platform while offering a fast way to analyze and track players. Juan has done his bachelor's in marketing from San Jose State University. Welcome to the show, Juan.
Thank you, Rohit. I appreciate it, and definitely can't wait to talk to you about my journey.
Awesome. So, you do have a lot of experience as a product designer. You work with some stellar companies. What got you interested in startups and entrepreneurship?
Yeah, I mean, at San Jose State, my senior year, we had a web design class. This was 1999, and really started building my first, I would say, website or web page, right? So I started coding. I also used some Dreamweaver as well. And our senior project was to help, I think it was Vail Resorts. How do we market Vail and get more people? And we actually designed a separate website for them to get more users or invite more people to ski at Vail, and they loved it. Once I tasted some of that as well, I knew that the path for me was eventually launching my own online business, online website. And we also did a business plan in college, and that was something I enjoyed. I believe we got an A+ in it, so we were pretty good in doing that. So I'm combining what I learned in pretty much writing a business plan, and then designing my first website. An online business was soon to come right after that. So.
Yeah, interesting because 99 2000 is when the .com bust had happened.
That's correct.
Did you
That is
did
right.
you did you go on to build any of the startups there, or you just head on went to your jobs and worked in some of the bigger companies?
Yeah, no, I think after the business plan, I needed some experience. So my first startup was 2000.
Oh,
It was called Animagent. It was an artificial intelligence and natural language processing startup. I mean, in 2000, that wasn't really common, right? So there at first, I helped design a website and build products for the company. One product I built was pretty much the technology was a chatbot on your desktop, and it communicated with you. So it's similar to the Clippy, but it kind of for Windows, but it was on your desktop and it communicated information. So what I did is I learned the code. And I designed a demo for the sports industry because I grew up loving sports. So I created a demo for the Sharks, 49ers, the Warriors, the local Bay Area sports teams. And for example, the Sharky lived on your desktop. And if I asked the Sharky who won the game tonight, and the Sharky will respond in speech, the San Jose Sharks won against the LA Kings 3-2, right? So you could ask, is there any discount tickets for tomorrow's game? And I would, the Sharky would send you links to, certain discount tickets. And this was in 2000, and I'm applying the same technology now with Fanalyze 20 years after. So definitely a good learning. And I worked for several startups as well, and learned a lot from these startups. Um, but I enjoyed the fast paced, and I could talk more about the bigger Fortune 500 companies I work with as well, and how different that was.
yeah, no, absolutely. This is very interesting, and sports betting is a big market, and Fanalyze focuses on researching on every game. But how does your team get down to research, or are you just focusing on a specific sport, or is it about researching on every game and getting to understand better for bettors?
Yeah, I mean, our goal is to have, the top 10 sports eventually in 3 years. Right now we have NFL, MLB, and NBA. How we get the data is we license it from Sport Radar, so we don't want to get in trouble from the big leagues because they'll come after us. We also aggregate, the top sports sources from different sites like Yahoo, CBS, ESPN. So the rankings, projections, the recommendations for sit and starts, and also waiver wires. And for sports betting, we're always trying to aggregate all the experts' analysis and so forth, and putting it in one location. And odds, and the best odds as well.
Got it. And since you started building the company, you got 5,000 users, and you got a lot of partnerships with high force sports innovation. And I wanted to understand how do you get your first users when you started building the product, and what are some of the challenges you got when you started getting your first customers?
Yeah, I think as a product person, you have to go out there and talk to users before you even launch the product. So I really pretty much, drew it on paper and started talking to people. If people like it, then I went to a higher fidelity design, right? So it's just interesting for you. So I'm trying to get them excited and get them to buy in. And if there is some interest in, we already know the market was growing for fantasy sports, so let's start building it and start talking to these people, getting their feedback, and that's our first users, and then of course friends and family, and doing any press that we can to get our initial users.
All right, and COVID has really impacted sports, but I think esports had its own inflection point last year. Do you think esports would be much bigger than the sports, traditional sports in general?
Esport is growing, but it's not bigger than NFL. It's not bigger than MLB yet. Could it be? Maybe. But it's something we actually developed a prototype for. So you could, we had a prototype for Counter-Strike, so you could kind of research the players and teams that are going into tournaments. So we're a platform that could apply esports data. And we do plan to do that in the near future. I don't know about this year, but 2022, it's in our roadmap.
All right, and what's the business model? How do you monetize your product when people use your product to research on players and teams?
Yeah, so what we did, prior to launching, like we listed the data points that are really difficult to find, and then asked our users which data points would help you with your research and analysis, and they'll select it, and we'd ask them how much would you pay for this, and the range could be $5 to $40 a month, depending on sport, right? So, and that's how we started to create the premium model. So it's a free model, subscription to advanced data, and with customized analysis. And we're also integrating affiliate marketing for sports betting operators. Sports betting operators spent about 1.5 billion in customer acquisition and marketing to get more users on their apps and websites. There's a commission. It could range from $200 to $500 per user per deposit. So we're analysis and research, so we'll push them to the best odds and sports betting operators, and if they sign up, we get a piece of that commission of $200 to I would say around $300 average. So two ways: free subscription and affiliate marketing revenue.
Okay, and have you started monetizing your product now, or is it going to be?
We did some tests, but our goal this year is really to monetize. We hope to expect to get 10,000 paid users by the end of the year, and then monetize through a premium affiliate marketing as well.
Okay, got it. And do you also have competitors in the same segment?
Yeah, I mean, there's the fantasy sports space and sports betting now is the gold rush. Yeah. Competitors range from Fantasy Pros to Number Fire, to RotoQL, to Fantasy Alarm. So there's several competitors in this space. I think more are jumping in as well.
Got it. And you also talked about Americans. I mean, that they lose close to $120 billion when it comes to sports betting. Uh, you know. The idea of about Fanalyze is only to focus on the US market, or are you also going to focus across different geographies and be or remain just specific to US?
Yeah, no, I mean, we're based in the US, so we have more, I would say, partners here and more control. But we are looking into, soccer or football data in Europe. We're actually launching cricket data for the IPL, so look for it maybe in a couple of weeks.
Oh,
So we have cricket data. We'll be launching that for of course the cricket fantasy leagues run mainly by Dream 11. So we will have that. And we, like you said, we were part of Hype Sports Innovation. They're more international or in Europe. We just received a pilot from Aquabloom Sports Technology Group and GSIC powered by Microsoft. We want a pitch event and receive a pilot opportunity to launch in China. So we'll be launching cricket, that's more focused on India market, and then we're planning to launch in China. I believe my pitch was for the Winter Olympics in Beijing, so we'll be integrating that into the Fanalyze platform.
yeah. Well, I mean, you made a couple of good points about the cricket betting in India, and also Winter Olympics and China, which is such a huge market. I wanted to understand, when would a company should look at looking at different markets, considering that you're still early in your journey. Should you look at diversifying into different markets at the early stage, or how do you get to decide when to market into different geographies?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. I mean, we were like focused, like we'll just stay in the US, right? But once we got partners like Hype that could get us out to international, and then people that was in India that understood the market and for cricket, just having the partners there gives us a way to launch international. And cricket, there's not much there's not much competitors as well for the research analysis market. So that's a market that we could probably capture early. And similar markets like, of course, soccer is pretty saturated, but maybe there's tennis, maybe there's golf in Europe, right? So, because in the US, the market is already saturated with research and analysis. If there's sports out there that you could really get because there's no competitors, it's definitely a good path for you. That's what we're doing with cricket.
Oh, very interesting. Because I come from India, and sports betting is pretty illegal over there. But are there any countries where you think sports betting is legal? And I know UK and US, I think it's pretty much legal to bet. But are international listeners, since they make we have a lot of international listeners, can they also bet on sports in US or in UK or in Europe?
Yeah, I mean, sports betting in the U.S. was legalized in 2018, but the states have to create their own laws and policies. So probably, I think there was maybe about 25 states with legalized sports betting, and then about 10 with online sports betting. So there's different categories, and of course, in international, I think UK has sports betting. Australia, I think it's controlled in China and Singapore. But I know, we understand sports betting is sensitive in India, so it's really focused on more fantasy sports data rather than sports betting data, right? So, but that we could apply that to Australia, where sports betting is legal for cricket.
Got it. And you also have a plan to get to 10,000 active users by the end of this year. What are some of your plans, and how do you get to go from 5,000 to 10,000? Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, we started to really push our social media posts. Something we want to do is get a lot of followers on there for of course, or organic reasons, right? We don't want to pay too much of digital marketing and engage our followers. We're looking also with market influencers that could create that buzz and allow their followers to join on Fanalyze, and key partnerships like yeah, Aqua Bloom, right? So they have a platform, they have their followers and so forth, and hype as well. So market influencers, of course, you have to do some digital marketing, focus on growing your followers on social media, and then finding those key partners that to get you those users on your app. So.
Correct. And do you also have your demographics for sports betting? I assume largely most of them would be older men who would be betting, or do you think you also have women who are betting into sports big time?
I don't know the percentage of women, but they are. I mean, they do play fantasy sports, and of course, there's an overlap of people playing fantasy and sports betting. I believe it was maybe 70%, so it's really high number. Of course, the people with more income would probably bet more, but the younger generation is finding ways to engage in sports, and they're passionate about games and their teams, and they bet as well, but probably not as much.
Yeah, no, you made a very interesting point about younger people
Yeah,
making bets on fantasy sports. But what I've realized is a lot of younger people are not really big into watching sports or even playing sports, and especially when it comes to a sport like golf, which is really struggling to attract younger audience.
yeah,
Uh, but do you think it's sports was always an entertainment, be it
yeah.
NFL or NBA, but do you think it would change in the next couple of years, because since we've been through a difficult COVID period? Do you think once the vaccinations happen, the lockdowns get removed, do you think younger people will start playing sports more and start engaging, and there'll be a lot more viewership when it comes to different sports for them?
Yeah, I think there's ways, the leagues are trying to get them early. Like I don't know if you watched the Super Bowl. Nickelodeon had a broadcast, and they put Nickelodeon characters on the screen, so they're trying to grab their attention, and they should. Um, but yeah, I think when everything gets back to normal, I don't know if that's the case. People will, they're stuck at home. They want to get out. They're waiting to play, right? So that kind of increases uh, their interest, and also wanting to get out there. And we've seen that from local news, how the kids want to play but they can't right now. So I believe that it's going to increase after everything gets to normal, because people are just stuck at home and want to do stuff.
Right. And also you are looking to raise your next round of funding from a crowdfunding platform like Republic, rather than from VCs. Uh, why did you look at a crowdfunding platform to raise funds and have more awareness about your product?
Yeah, no, I think we weren't really looking for a crowdfunding platform. We auditioned for the Meet the Drapers TV show, and then they
Oh,
have a
nice.
package deal to launch on Republic. So we did that, and I think it's a good way for us to expose or to share what we're building in Fanalyze. We're not just a community of investors, but possible end users, right? So and also a way for unaccredited investors to invest, which could be our friends and family, our social community. So a good way stay away from VC yet. I think we're still early for VC. We are talking to some angels, and they have some interest there.
Interesting. And what was your experience in Meet the Drapers TV show? Did you get the kind of leverage which was needed to be part of the show?
No, I think actually the show hurt us a little bit. One of the they didn't tell us who was the judge prior to the recording. One of the judges was Ronnie Lott. If you know Ronnie Lott, Hall of Fame linebacker for the 49ers. But he's invested in FanDuel, and FanDuel also acquired NumberFire, which is a competitor of ours. And I was curious of all the questions he asked and I didn't know prior to that. So I researched his investment firm, and then I found out that FanDuel and DraftKings was there. They had a question about supercomputers and how we could beat it, right? So, and I said, yeah, we're humans. I mean, computers make mistakes, and they really drilled me for that. But now I'm knowing, like, okay, we're trying to help people win. FanDuel is trying to take your money, right? And then they have a competitor of NumberFire. So he invested a couple of startups that kind of gave a conflict of interest. But if I knew that, I would have probably had a different answer to the question. So I knew once I knew the question that he gave, there's plenty of them. Like, this guy knows this space more than than I assumed. So, but then right after I did some research, I'm like, okay, now I know why he asked those questions.
Right.
But yeah.
No, I think that's
a good experience. Yeah, definitely a good experience. Yeah.
Yeah, no, thank you for being transparent. I've heard a lot about Meet the Drapers. I think it does target to a lot of Indian audience in US, but I wasn't aware about. I think they really have some very good investors who are there on the board.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
Yeah, and on the follow up on the Republic campaign, what is the money that you're trying to use for? Are you looking to raise money to build your team and the product?
Yeah, no, product is live. I think it's just improvements, and then really try to grow a user base, right? So test different marketing channels and try to grow that and convert those users to paying customers. Yeah, whatever we raise on Republic is really focused on traction and growth.
Got it. And Juan, I quickly want to do the top three. What's your favorite business book?
Move Faster. This was by Techstars Brad Feld, and I forgot his co-founder's name. So that's definitely a book I enjoyed reading.
Yeah, I think he's one of my favorite VCs, and he was also, one of the past guests at the show. I will definitely put that in the show notes. And if you could go back in time when you started working on Fanalyze, what is the one thing you would have focused on or done anything differently?
Really, if you're an early entrepreneur, just get to revenue as soon as possible. Kind of talk to the users, even pre-sale, right? So pre-sale before you build the website or app, get those money in and then launch. I think once you do that, you kind of eliminate some of the headaches of what's your traction? Do you have revenue? And then if you have a market and then you focus on that target, I think you could raise that initial round, but focus on getting that first users and revenue as soon as possible. It will eliminate a lot of headaches in the long run. So.
Yeah, I think that's a great advice. And do you have any favorite online tools, for example, Gmail, Slack, Zoom?
Yeah, Gmail, of course, Slack. HubSpot is also good, tracking people, who's opening your emails. But those are a few things that I usually use on a daily basis.
Got it. And what is the best way people can know about Fanalyze on Republic campaign?
Yeah, Fanalyze, the Republic campaign is republic.co /Fanalyze, FANALYZE. Definitely take a look at our page there, and appreciate any support.
Awesome. We'll put that in the show notes. And what is the best way people can reach out to you as well?
Yeah, you can email me, Juan at Fanalyze, JUAN at Fanalyze.com, or look me up on Twitter or Facebook or LinkedIn. Yeah.
Got it. Yeah, I will put that in the show notes. Juan, thank you so much for taking our time and speaking to us. I really enjoyed my conversation with you.
Thank you very much, and thank you for having me on the show. Appreciate it.